That was really special. Make sure you take time to thank the student speakers for all of these assemblies, including today, for their courage and bravery to share words and thoughts from their heart. Next, we'll have our guest speaker come forward. So I'll just take a moment to introduce to you Dr. Schoof. She attended Wisco, a graduate, I think, of 2003. Is that the correct year? And then graduated also from Wisconsin Lutheran College. I just pieced together today she was a roommate with my sister at WLCS. That's crazy. From there, she graduated from the Wisconsin School of Professional Psychology. Dr. Schoof has worked in outpatient mental health care, currently works for Christian Family Solutions. She is one of the senior clinical directors there, and Dr. Schoof specializes in children. Not working, she's at home with her husband, her 5 and 14 chickens. Let's give a warm Wisco welcome to Dr. Schoof.
Yeah, I'm on.
It's now on a countdown, so just when there's 5 minutes left on the clock.
I gotcha. Well, thank you so very much for having me, you guys. I'm really excited to be back after graduating in 2003. We are going to add 10 more chickens this spring, so now we'll have 24, which will be kind of fun. You are going to be getting these slides, so I'm going to skip around a little bit to make sure that I have enough time to give you exactly what I think you need. I really look at when I treat kiddos, what that child or adolescent needs in the moment. And I think you guys need practice. Take with you if you are struggling. First, I want to give you just a little bit of brain science, okay? So you'll see that there's a book written by Dr. Daniel Siegel called Brainstorm. It really talks about the essence of adolescence, and he kind of loves to always play on words. So he breaks down essence in exactly how you're seeing that on your screen. The first one is emotional spark. You're going to go through 4 different things in your adolescent period. When you guys were little guys, when you were 3, you also went through a giant brain development part, okay? Now, when you're this big and maybe this big, you're probably all taller than another really large development period in your life and going through 4 specific things. So one of those is an emotional spark. Who feels sometimes like their emotions are out of whack? All of you should have your hand raised. All right? You feel like you're constantly not knowing what's going on. Emotions, I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm angry, I'm surprised, I don't know what's happening, right? Okay, so that's an emotional spark. This is natural development. This is not you're crazy, okay? Then we're going through social engagement. This is the part where you push away from your parents a little, not because you don't like them, but because you want to hang. Then we're going to go through, first, let's talk about what happened in 2020, guys. That was taken away from you a little bit. We said, we can't go to school. We don't know what this COVID thing is going to do. We can't go to school. How did that impact you? If this is a normal part of development, one of the 4 things that happens, what happened to your brain? Ponder that. I don't have an answer for that question just yet, but ponder that, okay? Novelty. Who likes to do new things that they've never done before? All your hands should be raised again, okay? So yes, make silly choices, right? You're going to do things that within reason your human brain knows is okay, all right? This is a lot like a waterfall. A waterfall has a ton of things happening all at one time, but it's directed in one way, right? We're making choices. The waterfall has a direction, making choices to something that is going to be helpful, not hurtful, right? So novelty is a lot like a waterfall. Then we have these creative explorations. This is where other adults, who also, mind you, were once adolescents, this is where other adults are going to say, man, they just made a stupid choice, right? That's creative exploration. You are going to make mistakes. When you were 3, you did the same thing, only it was cute because you were 3, right? But when you're this big, or this big, when you're bigger than 3, now it's not so cute anymore, and it might be frustrating for your parents or for the other adults that help you. But there's something in that creative exploration, taking things apart, putting things together, trying this thing out or that thing out. That's also part of normal development. Again, you're going to get these slides, but the most important thing that I want you to know, you all have a fist, and if you do it the wrong way and you put your thumb inside of it, this is a pretty cool model of your brain, okay? The fingers part is your thinking part. The thumb part is your emotion part. Sometimes you guys are going to, wait for this, flip your lid, right? And you're gonna freak out a little. You're gonna do all of the, I'm not sure I can do this stuff, or you might have behavior that doesn't make sense. That means that the only thing that's exposed is your emotional brain. That's the only thing that everybody is seeing. It also means because it's not connected. So your job, and what I'm going to tell you of these strategies, is how do we get this brain to be connected again so that we can move on and we can deal with what's thrown at us. Okay, the purpose of adolescence is a period of construction, right? If you drive and you have driven through construction, this is frustrating, right? So other adults might think that this is a frustrating period of time when they're raising kids, when your teachers are like, why didn't they turn in their assignment again, and things like that, okay? But really what we need to important changes. This is simply not this child or adolescent needs to mature. Changes, okay? Creative exploration part. Really, if adults push back and say you shouldn't do this, you should do this, and try to micromanage really all of that things that is happening, we are not giving any brain development to those 4 pieces, particularly creative exploration. Now, this is not an excuse for you to say, but I was just creatively okay? This, and really, that this is part of your development. It's all about perspective, okay? All right, so let's go through some of this heavier stuff. What are the warning signs of mental exhaustion? What are these things that you feel, maybe, this is not an exhaustive list. In fact, I think we could have many, many slides on what this looks like for you guys. But if you start to notice that you're avoiding social situations, you have anger, irritability, intense emotional feelings. What do I mean by the word intense? I mean, you're not able to function from able to do things you once did because it's so intense. A lack of ability to sustain focus. Sometimes when we are anxious, we have all those thoughts that Pastor put up on the screen earlier. If you have all those thoughts running around in your brain, do you think you'd be able to focus on math? Not really. You're focused on all those thoughts, which at that moment for you is much more important. You might have a change in sleeping pattern. Now, I also know that, because I was adolescent once, sleeping pattern isn't really a thing for you guys. But if you're getting too much sleep or too little sleep, your body knows what it needs, your brain knows what it needs. If you're getting too much or too little, that's a change for you. If you feel like you have no energy or drive to do anything, much like Grace mentioned earlier, she had no drive to do anything, no motivation, poor hygiene. Maybe you're like, I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to shower today, or I really don't want to brush my teeth. Hygiene. Change in seasons routines is a really significant marker for a lot of people. Around October, November, we start to have something tick up in us, in some people, called seasonal depressive disorder. I think there's seasonal anxiety as well, right? We live in the Midwest where we don't get very much vitamin D in these months. Now, today, I think we're getting a little bit of sun, which is kind of nice, but generally, we're not getting those things. So we start to go into these seasons and really aren't looking forward to them, okay? Another warning sign, of course, is talking about hurting yourself, talking about ending your life. We're going to be talking about that a little bit more in a minute. So then, what are these solutions? What are the things that we are going to try? And like Pastor mentioned before, we are not going to just say, Jesus, right here, people in our lives that will purpose. And he gave us those to try some of these solutions. Okay, so part of these, if you're an anxious person, this will help, right? If you're someone that doesn't know which way is up or down, starting a schedule will be very, very helpful. Return to a previous schedule that maybe you thought, shoot, it's not working. And then you stopped it, had low motivation. Start that up again. See what changes. Act like an experiment. Set alarms so that you don't feel like you failed if you forgot something. Make sure you shower. That seems silly, but sometimes washing that stuff off feels like you're starting new, okay? Sometimes just the sensory experience of the water is helpful. Dress nicely. Put some effort into that. That will show you, to you, that you matter, that you're worth it, that you want to put that energy into presenting yourself as confidently as you can, okay? Staying physically active, so doing workout things, going for a walk, stretching. Very simple. It takes a little bit of time, but just stretching your muscles. When you stretch, you release a whole bunch of really cool chemicals in your brain, and that creates different synapses and different connections and neural activity that we can do. Yoga is one of those things that kind of goes along with stretching, where you're able to really pay attention